Now for our reading. From Knock by Frederick Brown. The last man on earth sat alone in a room. There was a knock at the door.
You're up, Ghostbusters. It's time for another episode of the Reading Room Ruffians, your favorite library podcast. We discuss books we've read, tell you about our upcoming programs, and throw a few guest speakers in for some flavor. We are haunting from our public library in Jackson County, West Virginia. This is Ghost Mallory, R.I.P. to my sanity, and I'm joined by my sassy spirit BFF Ariel.
Boo. Or whatever.
Today, let's take a moment of silence for our Supreme Overlord Carla, who is very thankfully not moving on to the afterlife, but instead preparing gifts for ghouls and ghosties alike for a craft show she has coming up. Finally, riding shotgun of the Seattle Mystery Machine, we have everyone's favorite salty skeptic, Zach.
Something ghosty.
Oh gosh. Today, we are super excited to welcome Spirit Walk Paranormal from up in Morgantown, West Virginia to join us and continuing this discussion on the paranormal.
Ghosts are real.
Yes. I can't wait for this today.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be a good one.
I'm excited.
Okay, Ariel, do you want to start us off?
Well, do you want to introduce him?
Well, yeah, yes.
No,
okay,
don't.
So this is
Just
actually
anonymous.
okay. So it's Spirit Walk Paranormal, but his name is Danny Strakel.
So, Danny, what is it like being a phantom?
Oh, this has plagued me for decades
I'm sure it has, especially being
in my field.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool, being able to walk through walls and things like that. Talking to spirits, It's been pretty cool, man. I'm not gonna lie. I have a good time, and ectoplasm is gross. So yeah, it's been fun.
Sure it is.
It's been fun. I hang out with ghouls and goblins, and Bigfoot. He's a tall guy.
I imagine so. I've heard. Feet pretty big.
He's pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure one of his kids trampled me when I was in 5th grade.
Oh no!
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to actual questions.
Had to start off strong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, in your opinion, what do you think ghosts are?
Well, I feel like a lot of people have the general idea of what ghosts are. Growing up, we see in movies and cartoons as like a ghostly apparition, some person that's see-through. And there are a lot of really good pieces of evidence out there of these manifestations as apparitions. To me, it's not just specter or ghoul. That was someone who was once living. And whether it's a intelligent spirit that can, interact with you, or if it's a residual spirit who maybe that they're just stuck on a time loop, which is often referenced in the stone tape theory. It was someone's past life. It's their past tense. And so when we pass on, it's not just us ending and moving on. Some people believe that. Others believe that you go to a certain place after you pass on. And, we don't know. None of us do until we cross that threshold. And to me, I just feel like it's just past tense versions of oneself.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So you don't subscribe to any of the I guess, more wild theories where it's like interdimensional beings coming in, like as a shadow.
Okay, so
I never even heard that.
So
I like how he just prepped himself for this.
Yeah.
if you want to get into interdimensional beings, such as Mothman and Indrid Cold, things like that, that's on a different spectrum of the paranormal field. So when we talk about, the Mothman flap from 1966 to 1967, Mothman was one of those beings that, I can't personally describe because I've never encountered Mothman, but from, being a huge fan of John Keel and Gray Barker, his book called The Silver Bridge, which was put out about 5 years before the Mothman prophecies came out. They talk a lot about reports and, sightings of the Mothman. Keel's work was very analytical and data driven, and Gray Barker's work was more, and this is John Keel's words, a celestial fantasy. He kind of took a shot at Gray Barker because there was parts in Gray Barker's book where he was writing from the viewpoint of these interdimensional beings, and it was really strange. Like, I believe in one of the chapters he writes from like a Men in Black or aliens like viewpoint. It was very strange, and I wish I could ask Gray Barker why he wrote his book the way that he did, where if Keel was still alive, I could probably ask him reports and data and facts. So when it comes to those types of creatures and beings, I think it's more than just ghouls and specters and things like that,
Yeah. It's a different sort of subset of phenomena, unrelated to what you
Yes.
normally work with.
Well, it's not completely unrelated. I have had 2 UFO encounters of my own. I don't really talk about it too much.
We don't need to get into that. I mean, we don't have to talk about it.
No.
That's her big no.
No, that's why I'm terrified of them. So.
Okay. Well, I was terrified too. So they happened it was about 5 years apart when my UFO encounters happened. Once I was leaving work, it was about 5 o'clock in the afternoon in November of 2014. If you live in an area for a long time, you notice when something's out of place. Maybe they put up a new sign. Maybe someone painted a building a different color. Like, you just notice, like, oh, that's different. That's new. Like, when was this put in? And so I was driving home, and I saw this like really bright light in the tree lines up top. And as I was turning on to the next intersection, like little highway, and granted, I lived out on a 2-lane road about 4 miles outside of Morgantown, so it's like not too far out, but still like a little far. You start getting into like hollers and things like that. I'm driving down Route 7, and I'm like looking up through the leafless trees, and I see like 3 bright lights that I've never ever seen before out there. And at first, like, I thought it was like a radio tower, or like a new cell phone tower, something like that. And I get to where the lights are, and I pull off on the side of the road where like it's a big enough pull off that kids and parents, it's a school bus stop. So like I pulled off the side of the road, and I look across the street, and I look up, and there's this black triangle with 3 lights, one on each point of the triangle, and it freaked me out. I looked so crazy. It was the 5 o'clock rush hour. There's me pointing up, like, why is no one stopping and looking at this? And, people are like honking their horns at me. And I'm just like, I look freaking insane. The whole encounter lasts about 2 minutes. This is where it really freaked me out. As I'm looking at this thing.
She's like,
I'm like a nervous wreck right now. I'm like, I don't want to hear about this.
Imagine experiencing it. It was crazy.
I don't think she'd still be here.
I would be dead. I wouldn't have stopped. I would have like kept my eyes straight at the road, being like, "Don't look, don't look, don't look, don't look."
You hear about it, and you want to
no
capture it, man. So
no,
like,
this is how you get abducted. No.
Maybe I wanted to. Who knows? Take me to wherever. Let me experience your world. Is it better than ours?
Probably.
So I'm outside of my car. I'm pointing at this thing. I go to take my phone out, and I bring up the camera app. And so as soon as I do, my phone completely dies. At the time, I was working at this call center where you were not allowed to use your phone, and my phone was fairly charged. I want to say it was like 75, 80% when I left work, and I went to take a photo, phone dies. And then this is where it really scared me. My car was still running, but it sounded like my car's battery was dying, and then the headlights were dimming, and I was like, oh shit, this thing is messing with my car. Because I had that car since I was like 17. I must have been 24. So I had that car for a while, ran great, took great care of it. Never in my life ever experienced it doing this. Oh, it's dying, blah, blah, blah. So I keep looking at this thing. I hop back in my car. I'm still looking up. I see the back 2 lights go off, and then I see the front nose light go off, and then it does this perfect 45-degree turn. No noise was ever coming from this thing. It was completely silent. And then it just veers off and goes towards Morgantown. My car works perfect. My phone comes back alive with about 75% battery on it. And I drove straight home and I locked my doors, and I did not want to come outside for like a week.
Yeah. Don't blame me. I'm never going to Morgantown. I don't think I've ever even been to Morgantown before in my life, but I'm definitely not going there now.
Yeah, but you live so close to Point Pleasant.
Nope.
You get the
It doesn't matter.
there,
Mothman is not aliens. Mothman is a wonderful bug man who I could just get a really bright. It's all right.
No, he's just warning them. He's just warning them.
I actually think he's like a distant relative of a banshee, because a lot of our ancestry here actually comes from that.
I mean, that makes sense. And
lineage.
worst case scenario, he comes after me. I get a really bright flashlight.
Yeah,
and just
you're right.
Toss it away from me, and then he'll be like,
you
"Oh,
just go
right."
straight for the flashlight.
Yeah,
the moth instincts will overtake him.
I feel like
if
I put a really bright light somewhere, you will just pop up somewhere.
Oh my.
Probably.
Yep.
So yeah, ghosts, aliens, cryptids, I cover it all.
That's pretty cool.
I'm like, my chest feels weird because of this UFO story. I'm like,
You're gonna be looking up in the skies later tonight.
Yeah, she is.
no,
Oh,
like
God.
literally, I have a rule that nobody is allowed to talk to me about aliens after dark.
Yeah.
Well, good thing
Because
it's like
I will have like
10,
panic
15
attacks. I just
for you guys.
Yeah, it's super
can't
early.
do it.
Since you gave
it's
us that
so
story,
early for you, Zach.
It's
So
7:15 for me. Yeah, they do this to me every week. It's awful.
Oof, I am so
it's
sorry.
not like you signed up for it or
You
anything.
love us, and you would do it anyway.
No, the only bad part is when they say, "Oh no, we had to actually meet earlier because we got the thing," and I'm just like, "Are you serious?"
That's fair. That's fair.
You guys need to do this at like 11. Give them another hour.
Just give me some sleep.
If we had more people here on Fridays, we probably would. So since you gave us that story, what got you into ghost hunting or all of the paranormal in general?
This is a great question, and I want to say the most asked question that I get. So
Yeah.
it goes back to kind of like when I was a kid, but the paranormal investigating as like a somewhat career didn't start until like much later. But going back, this is a real quick story. When I was about 5 years old, I was staying at my grandparents' house, and I was taking like a nap in one of the rooms, and I had awoke from the nap at one point, and my mom came into the room, and she was like, "Who are you talking to?" And I said, "I'm the lady in the chair." There's no lady in the chair. It was my great-grandmother's chair who had passed away, and she had like told me that story growing up, that like I described who was sitting in the chair, and then I was shown a picture, and lo and behold, it was my great-grandmother. So let's fast forward many years. I'm a believer of the strange and the phenomena and everything. Growing up, Mothman was always like one of those things that you just hear of, being a West Virginia native. Close to home, the WVU co-ed murders, which we'll get into here in a little bit. And then my mom passed away in 2010 from a house fire, and a few years had passed, and I was going through like a rough time, just like missing my mom. My best friend had passed away at 27 as well, and so like I was just going through some stuff, and so I went up to my mom's gravesite, and I was like, you know what, I really just need a sign that like something is going on. When I got back to my house after leaving the cemetery, there was a book that I kept up on a shelf, and it was a special book, and the book was perfectly placed on the reclining chair. And I was like, well, that's strange. And so, like, I looked at the book, and, you know, it was perfectly placed, cover out and everything. And then I looked up on the shelf, and you could see the dust marks of where the book was placed with all, like, the little trinkets and knickknacks that I had in front of it. And I was like, well, you know, it didn't fall off, or all these things would have been all over the floor. And then a now good friend of mine, his name is Kendall Perkinson, he and his team did the WVU Co-Ed Murders podcast. And I was like, you know what? I would really like to take this from a paranormal approach. And so I started going out and visiting their body site, and it kind of just snowballed from there, you know, doing research on equipment, how it works, you know, dealing with electromagnetic fields, how electromagnetic fields tend to spike when spirits and things are around. And now I'm here. It's been about 6.5 years. I've investigated a lot of places. Some places I never thought that I'd get to investigate. And yeah, it all happened so fast. And now it's 2023, and I'm kicking it, you know?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Thank you.
Okay, so what is your most exciting place you've ever investigated? And then what is also your most disappointing one?
Ooh, great question. So there's like cases, and then there's like, I call them like one and done locations. So shout out to the old hospital on College Hill in Williamson, West Virginia. It's probably one of my favorite places to investigate. I just did a second investigation there on June 9th, so not too long ago. I was just down there. It's a really fun location as far as the one and dones go. I feel like I enjoy it every time I go out. Wow, that's a really good question. Because Greene County Historical Society in Waynesburg is super awesome. They actually were a big hand in a residential case that I was working on, finding out information of like the original landowner of like the property where this house was eventually built. But one and done locations, I want to say Old Hospital on College Hill. And it's not just because of the spirits that are there. Like Tanya Webb and Charlie Hatfield, they're the owners of Old Hospital. And I just love going down to Williamson just for like the people. You know, talking with the spirit of Mose Blackburn. He was a man who had killed a police officer and ended up in the hospital. He's a very active spirit on the 3rd floor. You know, I like going down, and, you know, it's fun. I don't know, it sounds so weird. It's just like, yo, you're in this creepy abandoned building and you're alone in the dark, but you're talking to a spirit, and it makes it not as scary.
No, I totally get it, because
I can't agree.
I've gone to Moundsville a couple of times, and I enjoyed it every single time I went. So,
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I get that. I get the, you know, it's exciting and fun, even if it is a little creepy.
That's one place I haven't investigated yet, but it's on the bucket list.
I've been there twice, and
for a tour, or not an investigation, right?
Well, once I was dating a ghost hunter at one point, so
Oof. I hate that word.
That's what they
Ghost
called
hunter.
themselves. That's what they called themselves. Okay, so that's not my words. That's their words. And they wanted to go to Moundsville, so I just kind of tagged along. And then the other time, it was a college that went, wasn't it, Zach?
It's just Nibble and some of his people he got together. I don't know. Our dad.
At the college.
At the college, yeah.
Yeah, so it was me and Zach, and then our dad and our grandfather and a couple of my friends, and then some people that my dad worked with or were their students or something like that we went.
We did try to record things. I don't
Anything
think we
come through.
I think there's one or two recordings that I don't know if it was on the voice recorder or the camera that we caught some voices.
The voice recorder caught some voices or something that sounded like voices, and then on the camcorder, we only got one thing. It was probably nothing, but it looks kind of weird. It was like a little light that went across the bottom underneath a door. There was like no other lights around.
I love your skepticism.
Oh, I don't think anything's legit, personally.
Oh, well, dude, I have some stories for you. So, like, it takes a lot to be a believer.
It does. I haven't had any sort of experiences or anything like that, and I've done a decent amount of research into just like the psychology of how bad our brains work and how we can just misinterpret things really easily. So I'm somewhat skeptical of that. Now, the rest of these people, Ariel, Mallory, I don't think Mallory's had quite as many. My mom,
No, I haven't
my
had
aunts.
a lot of
So if you
experiences,
listen to a
but-
previous episode, which is coming out in 2 weeks, you'll see that I am clearly the only one who thinks like this on this
That's because
podcast.
we've all experienced things. We've all had our own personal
But-
experiences.
I hope during this podcast that maybe like that second chair in his room just goes flying back.
I mean, that'd be pretty
That would be
fun. That'd be pretty
fantastic.
fun.
no,
No,
he'd be like, "What the?"
I am totally open to like having an experience. I have not experienced anything as of yet.
One day it'll.
I mean,
I'm gonna
I
have
hope
to,
so.
like,
I mean, if it shows that there's something else going
Summon
on, that'd be
some
fun.
spirits in his house when I'm visiting.
Bring a box of spirits.
yeah.
Okay, so I have to finish your 2-part question. You said most
Yeah.
most disappointing. There's none that have been like a real disappointment. No, and this is a thing too. I'm a middle of the road kind of guy. Like I want to believe everyone's story, no matter like I believe that these experiences like have happened. I believe that these people have seen certain things. I believe that, they physically saw something or, they have proof of something. But I'm very middle of the road. So I go in not expecting anything to happen. And that's the best way to investigate. Because you can't leave disappointed if nothing really happens. But if something crazy happens, you have a great story to tell later.
That's fair.
But Morgantown Public Library, kind of lame.
It's okay. Throw shade on the other libraries. We're good with that.
We're the best library, so we get it. Kind of lame, other libraries.
No, I mean, it was fun, but like nothing happened. I was like, whatever. I was like, I heard the stories. Nothing happened. But like I said, didn't leave that disappointed just because nothing happened.
I mean, it's still a fun thing to do, I'm sure. Like, I had a great time at Boundsville, even though it was like nothing happened. Aside from they threw pennies at us. That's what happened.
Yeah, that wasn't.
No, that wasn't ghosts. That was other people in the group trying to spook us.
That's bad.
Yeah, it's like
that's not great for investigating.
No, that's poor form, guys. Poor form. So, I guess this is related to what we were just talking about. How do you respond to people who don't believe in ghosts? Like, what do you say to them?
Believe what you want to believe. That's pretty much it. There are people out there who have never experienced anything. And, just because it's come up in quite a few conversations too. I was at a get-together about a month ago, and this guy just straight up did not believe anything. And instead of, fighting him and back and being, nasty, I was just like, well, that's fine, man. You can believe what you want to believe. I'm pretty sure he was an atheist. So he was just like, nope, you're dead, you're gone, dirt, worms, all the jazz. And I was like, all right, yeah, man, that's totally fine. There's some people who do not like what we're doing because it's a form of like disrespecting the dead. So like I said, man, pretty middle of the road guy. Believe what you want to believe, and if my evidence can't prove to you that spirits exist, that's okay. But for the people out there who do believe what I do and the evidence that I capture, I try to present my evidence in like the most authentic way. There's a lot of people out there, especially on YouTube and in the paranormal YouTube community, that they overreact over nothing. And their thumbnails are just god awful.
It's what gets the views, man. It's awful, but it's what gets the views.
It's just like they always have this like weird Home Alone Macaulay Culkin poop face, and there's like an arrow pointing to something that's been, photoshopped in, and just like that, you didn't capture that. It's not in there. I don't know. Like I was saying, I try to, present my evidence authentically as possible. And there's been times when there's been like loud knocks or like bangs, like coming from the area that we're in. And the most that you'll get out of us is like oh crap, what was that? But it's not like we're freaking out, running around the room like on the spirit box, a ghost came in and said the name of the location. Like, okay, we're not going to freak out over that. And I don't know. The over dramatizing of things is really hurtful, I think, in the paranormal community. It's entertaining, especially to like the young ones out there, like the, clickbaity teens that are just like, oh yeah, what's this crazy looking thumbnail with the night we almost died? No, you didn't. You're still alive. It's literally like every paranormal channel out there now that they're moving towards this, and they're moving further away from authentic investigating, and they're just doing it for clicks and views.
I think I get that. So, speaking of evidence, what are probably your few favorite pieces of evidence that you've captured?
This is my favorite question ever.
Perfect.
So I'm going to take you to a couple years ago. It was November of 2020. And I received a personal Facebook page message, like not to Spirit Walk, just this is my personal Facebook page. And it was from a guy in southwestern PA. He's like, hey, I've got this house. Me, my wife, my 5 kids are all experiencing something weird. And I'm very peculiar when it comes to residential cases, because you got to be careful going into like a residential case. Because it's not a known location. You have to you want to believe these people, but you also have to be like, am I going to get robbed? So they said like a mutual friend's name. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll go check this house out. So I drive up there and they give us a tour of the house, and we get to the second floor, and they, in the second floor, in one of the rooms, the twins' room, where they claim to see a shadow man, there's a pull-down ladder that leads up into the attic. Well, in the attic, there's only a certain part that has flooring, and then in the other section, there's just beams. So we get on these beams, and they had told me about this secret room, and the entrance to it, you had about 16 inches wide in between, the rafters. And it was maybe 15 inches tall. It was like a real tiny hole. And so I had to put both my arms through and pull myself in. And when I got into this secret room, there was like these old doily curtains, but there's no windows. And then there was a dumbwaiter that led down to the lower levels in the house. And there was a cigarette pack in there from, I believe it was like 1911 or something. So really, really strange vibes throughout this entire house. We start doing a session. I break out my electromagnetic field reader. We're getting some, we're doing a baseline reading. It's 0.0 milligauss, which is how EMF is measured. And I'm just doing a baseline, making sure it's 0.0 everywhere. Everything's fine. And then we start getting some really crazy high spikes. We're in that room for about a half hour doing some spirit communication. And then I just wanted to get out of that room. It was like 8 feet tall, but it was like a pyramid, like 4-sided pyramid. And I was like, all right, let's just get out of this room. Let's take a break, and then we'll do the night investigation. Please take the kids to their grandparents, because I was not about to investigate a house with a house full of kids. Not just, for them tampering with evidence, but it was for their safety. And that's like the main thing. So the kids get taken to the grandparents. I'm going to start the night off doing a solo investigation in the second floor of the twins' room, where they claim this shadow man is seen. So on my channel, the series is called Mount Morris Mystery House. And season 1, episode 2, there's the moment when I'm going upstairs and I'm just taking my gear up. I haven't even started investigating. I get into the twins' room and I set down a couple pieces of gear, and then it pops off. Disembodied voices are captured on my camera's microphone. There's a weird disembodied moan that I hear with my own ears. And I was just about to start like my introduction of just like, hey, I'm in the twins' room, things like that. I couldn't even get through the sentence without all of these things happening. And in that same moment, there was actually a faceless child captured behind
Nope.
my shoulder
Nope.
in the video. And at the same time where I heard this disembodied moan, and then we had these little EMF pods that if any electromagnetic energy would like get near it, they would glow blue. It's kind of like the very, very basic version of like a REM pod. It just detects things that are in the area. And at the same time that this child is captured on my infrared camera, my full spectrum camera is shooting at the EMF pods. Now, the full spectrum camera didn't capture the child. It did capture the pods lighting up when the child was captured on my infrared camera. And that's probably my holy grail piece of evidence. It's just so strange. You guys can check it out after we're done here. I'll send you the link and the timestamp. It was just one of the craziest captures that I've ever had.
That does sound pretty good. Yeah, no, I was watching some of your videos. These are like really high production quality, like in prep for this. I didn't see this particular one. I was just kind of sort of going through them, but...
Oh, well, thanks, man. Yeah,
Because he's a skeptic. He's like, we're going to catch you.
I'm trying to convert you. No, I really do appreciate that. I do take a lot of pride in the work that I do, and it's not, I don't want it to be like a TV show, even though it's kind of becoming that. I really like the documentary standpoint. So if you watch the Mount Morris Mystery House series, it's kind of long. It's like 18 episodes. We had to investigate that house like 4 times. Some crazy stuff happens. One time in that house, we were live streaming on Facebook, and something attacked Steve Hummel. He is the curator of Archive of the Afterlife. It's a haunted artifacts museum in Cameron, West Virginia. I had called him down because he has about 5 years on me in the field. So I called him down because I thought that there might have been a artifact in the house that was causing the hauntings. It wasn't. There was something much darker in there. During the live stream, I was kind of bummed that we had 5 cameras rolling, and not one camera caught this thing that I saw with my own 2 eyes. That you could, it sounded like inhuman running. Like humans have like long strides, if they're running. This sounded very much like a drum roll kind of pattern. It sounded very inhuman. And I saw this like black mass that didn't really have a shape. It's really hard to describe. But I saw it run up and like go into Steve. And you can hear the impact on Steve's jacket in this moment. And we're all just freaking out because the EMF detector is detecting high amounts of EMF. Marcus had asked, he's the co-host of the show. He had asked, did something happen at the top of the stairs? And I believe Steve had said, did somebody fall? And in that moment, that happened. So that's probably like one of the most active locations that I've ever investigated. Probably one of the most terrifying too, because, you can go to these one and done locations and you hear the stories and you get the interviews. It's a lot different when there's already history done on a place, and they have the research and you get the interviews, and then you go and you have your 10 to 12 hours of fun. Like the cases that I work on, they're a lot more terrifying because there's a lot of unexpected things that can happen. And when I went into this residential case, I was just like, okay, cool. We're going to investigate one night. We're going to present them the evidence. And then that's that. And then it turned into 18 episodes. We ended up digging for human remains in the backyard at the end. So yeah, it was really crazy.
Do they still live there?
As far as I know, yes.
What the heck? No! I'd be moving out.
I could never.
So fast.
No way.
Yeah, after all the evidence that we had presented, it was kind of nuts. Something crazy happened. I'll tell this to you guys after podcast is over. So for those who are listening, you should go watch the series and find out all the crazy stuff that happens. But I'll show you guys later, or I'll tell you guys later what kind of happened that was crazy.
Okay, excited.
No, I'm going to watch the whole series personally because like I said, I was watching through your things a little bit ago, and it's pretty good so far from what I've seen.
The most recent episodes from the past year are really good. The Mount Morris Mystery House series, I was still finding my gears and everything. The editing process got a heck of a lot easier, and the cinematography got a lot better over the past couple of years. So But yeah, you'll like the Mount Morris Mystery House series. It's very documentary.
Cool. I do love a good documentary, and it's better than half the junk that's on TV about ghost hunting junk. Like, what was it,
thanks,
Taps? You remember Taps
Oh, yeah.
back in the day?
Oh gosh.
yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Like, it started off pretty all right, but then they just got so kooky.
That's like Ghost Adventures.
Oh, Ghost Adventures
gosh,
is fantastic, but for a completely different reason.
Well, yeah.
Wait, is that the one with Zach
entertaining as hell,
Bagans?
man.
Okay,
Where
yeah,
they're
yeah.
like super dramatic over
yeah.
everything.
And he's going to fight the ghosts
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Every
yeah.
time.
My favorite is the B-roll, like cutscenes, like where they have like actors or actresses and they're just like twitching in like the background, you know?
Oh, God, it's awful. I do love
Yeah.
it, though.
You know what I love to watch is the BuzzFeed Unsolved guys, because one guy's like super into everything paranormal, completely believes it.
Oh,
The other one's like,
Ryan and Shane.
yeah, huge skeptic. And my favorite thing is when is it Shane's the skeptic?
Yep.
Okay, he'll go places and he'll be like, "Where you at? You want to fight me?" He's like,
Don't
"It's
do
me,
that.
demons. Come get your boy." and Ryan's like,
if me
"Stop
and
it,
Zach had a
stop
show,
it."
That's
if
what
me
it
and
would be.
Zach had a show,
It
that
would
would
be you
it.
and Zach. Yeah.
Yep.
They'd be like, come on,
I
man.
would literally never.
Fight me,
Fight me,
Dee.
Cole.
Fight me.
That's
you're not
exactly
real.
what they're like.
Bring it.
Are you a subscriber to their new channel, Watcher?
No.
Oh,
didn't know they had
so
one.
you don't know about Ghost Files?
No. See, I watched them for so long, and then I got busy with life,
Yeah.
and like I haven't watched them here recently.
Do yourself a
So-
favor. Go over, subscribe to Watcher, and they have a series called Ghost Files, which is basically what they did for BuzzFeed Unsolved Supernatural, but it's done a lot better, a lot more gear. And Shane is just he's really changed. He's still a skeptic as but he's like, I want to capture a ghoul for Ryan. He's like, I want this to
I
happen.
love him.
I love
so
that.
Best friend.
much.
They're going to be
Like,
in Seattle, apparently.
Yeah, they're doing a tour.
Yeah, August 3rd. I
Ryan
had to go.
actually has like little like extra part in I think it's Quantum Mania.
Oh yeah.
Because I saw him. Like they were panning and he's like, and I was like, oh my God. And Michael was like, what? I was like, it's Ryan.
Huh,
So,
that's
yeah.
fun.
Yeah, I love those guys. Probably like one of my favorite channels to watch.
I think because Shane is such a skeptic is
Mhm.
why I like them so much.
Yeah.
Because he's like, yeah, no. That's just the noise. That's just the house settling. That's just this.
Oh, actually.
I wish.
No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to ask a question about this, so go ahead and do your thing first.
Oh no, yeah, go for it, bro.
I don't even see it written down here. But basically, it's like, how often do you guys try to, like, since I haven't watched much of the series yet.
It says,
Try
what
to-
percentage of hauntings are just misinterpretations of normal things like a house selling or a weird
There you go.
reflection?
Why can't I read that on paper? That's the question.
I don't know. I don't know.
So why are they misinterpreted or
Like for example, it's like if you hear like a creaking noise, I mean, not always a ghost, right? It could be something like the
No,
house
it's
is
the house
settling.
settling.
The house settling, exactly like that. So I guess the question is, what sort of percentage of things that people say do you think are not actually ghosts? There's like something just happening with the house, natural, whatever. People are just not understanding what it is, like the house settling or weird reflections or something like that.
I think it's their brain. The mind likes to play tricks on people. Me being an investigator, we just moved into our new place in January. And yeah, it's weird. Like when you first get to a new spot and like I didn't think this place was haunted. That never occurred to me once that it was haunted. Yeah, it was built in like the 1920s, but I did some research, didn't find any deaths in the house. However, I ran into the previous owners and she found out what I did and she was like, do you think that there's something upstairs? And this is where I was like, yeah, because something happened to me in this house. And I'll get to the percentage thing too. So like we first moved in, it was probably like the first couple of weeks that I was here. It was early in the morning. I was having coffee and I walked upstairs to my office here. And there's a spare room right behind me. I had walked past the room and I swear there was a silhouette of a woman standing by the window. And this was while I was walking. I looked over, I saw it, and then I stopped in my tracks, looked back, It was gone. I don't know if my mind was playing tricks on me. I don't know if it was just like early morning brain fog. I haven't had my coffee all the way in me yet. So the next day, I was downstairs. It was late at night. It's probably like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I started hearing footsteps down the hallway upstairs. And I was like, well, that's strange. Because, she's not home right now. And like my wife's a travel nurse, so she was out on assignment. I was like, well, that's odd. So I ran up, nothing. And then a similar instance happened a few days later to her. And we haven't experienced anything since. There's literally nothing here, I'm pretty sure. And so maybe it was just my mind playing tricks on me. I don't know. We're not going to tell her. But I have brought out my gear in here. There's a no investigating rule in the house.
So she's not allowed to listen to the podcast. That's what you're telling me.
She'll ask how'd the interview go. I said it's great. Don't worry about it. So I have tried to do some sort of spirit communication here in the house, and literally nothing. So it wasn't my brain playing tricks on me. I think so. I have no proof. I have no recordings. I have no video evidence. I have nothing. So could it just be the trick of a mind of me living in a new place? Probably. Is there something here? I don't know. A lot of the people out there who claim to have seen stuff, I literally just had a guy message me last night. He lives in North Carolina. I met him recently because his band was on tour and I went to their show. He was like, hey, I work in this gym. A client quit on me because he's a personal trainer. He's like, she said it felt spiritually negative at the gym. And this is like a full-fledged gym. Like,
that's how I feel about most gyms. The vibes are all wrong.
The vibes are not for me here. So he sends me a video of the security cam recordings, and there's just like orbs flying around. I'm just like, oh god, here we go. Orbs. I'm not a fan of orbs anymore. There are strange, weird anomalies. Some which are in the Mount Morris Mystery House series, because they've moved very strangely. But when it's on a security system camera and there's just like, it just kind of looks like it's dust.
Yeah.
It's dust. I said, is a punching bag swaying really weird? Is anything strange going on? Like, he's like, well, we've heard some things. I was like, all right, well, next time you're there and it's late and you're closing up the gym, no one's there, so take out your phone. And I was like, talk to the spirits like they're actual people and not as spirits. They tend to respond a lot better when you talk to them as they're a human being and not a dead person,
Yeah.
I'd be obnoxious. I'd be like, hey, you want to get swole?
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Do you even ghost,
I feel ya.
bro?
This is why I don't do that as a job.
But yeah, I don't know. I just think that there are a lot of instances where people think. Have you guys ever heard of tulpas?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, so kind of like a tulpa. There's been so much collective thought and energy into thinking that something is real that it's manifested. There was a tulpa type entity at Madison Seminary in Ohio. It was this claimed to be little girl named Sarah, but Sarah also presents herself as a full-grown adult. There's no record of Sarah at the seminary, but people may have manifested her through like concentration and believing in Sarah. And so I think that, if you believe enough, then maybe it's true. But that's also, people who believe the lie. They lie so much that eventually it becomes their truth.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So why are there so few or no ghosts with 80s hair or 90s grunge outfits? And how come you don't see ghosts usually with like a modern getup? And following that, I've also heard make sure whatever you're wearing is what you like because it could be your ghost outfit forever.
Yes.
You know, so how come we aren't seeing more modern spirits?
Yeah.
I don't think that that's necessarily true. Everyone talks about Victorian ghosts, and like whenever you go to these older places, like, oh yeah, there was a lady in white on the stairs, and she's wearing this Victorian era dress and get up or whatever. Or I saw the spirit of a army guy over at Gettysburg, and he was in full, military garb. So I think that we are going to start seeing more evidence of, like current time era get-ups. The old hospital on College Hill, for example, that was built in 1920. Now, personally, I haven't captured anything like apparition-wise from there yet, or that I know of. I'm still going through the evidence of this last episode that we shot. So maybe. I have captured some weird things, but not apparitions. And I feel like apparition manifestations are really, really hard to come by. But if you go over to the old hospital on College Hill's Facebook page and you go to their photos, there's actually a really great capture from a woman who was taking a tour. And there's a story there about the nurse that never clocked out. And this lady, she went and she took the tour, and there's like a very beautiful overlooking the town of Williamson from the hospital. And she goes over and she's just taking like photos on her iPhone. And in one of the photos, she captures the like half, almost full body apparition of what looks to be like a nurse from about the 50s or 60s. Now, that's not 2009 get up, but it's not Victorian garb. And I feel like a lot of investigators who aren't trying to help people like talk to past loved ones and things like that, maybe it's too soon. I mean, I've had plenty of spirit communication with my mom and my best friend from beyond. They don't show themselves. I haven't caught any apparitions or anything. There was this one time when I was running a spirit box, I caught this really strange anomaly that it kind of like swirled over the PSB7 spirit box. And as soon as that happened, heart attack came through on the spirit box. And that's how my best friend had passed away. So, I didn't get the full body apparition of him, but maybe I caught his energy manifesting in some type of way. I know that I feel like here in the future, we'll probably start seeing more and more images, video captures of people who passed away in, 80s mohawks and studs and spikes and things.
I can't wait.
I can't either. I am
or
so
90s grunge.
excited to see that.
Well, I think we need to start investigating punk rock clubs
There you
from
go.
back in the
Yeah.
day.
Yes.
Because you know why? You know why we're not seeing all these captures? Because we're going to mansions built in the 1800s. We're not going to rock venues.
Yeah.
It's a valid point.
It is.
I assume it's all legit. There's just a numbers game at some point. If you're not going to the places, if you're not, like, there's not as many people have died yet from those eras as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, eventually I think we will start seeing that. It's just in the oncoming years, we have to bridge the gap and get to the next era of investigating. Because right now we're dealing with, I don't know why we're not getting, and maybe it's just because they can't understand our language, but maybe some of these spirits are beyond the 1700s, 1600s, and things like that. I mean, we're all just energy, right? And energy can't be completely destroyed. It just, transfers. So I don't know if you guys believe in reincarnation. I'm not religious or anything. I just think that we're all here for a short bit of time, so I may as well have some fun with it.
I'm most definitely going to haunt everybody if I die.
Go for it.
I'm so ready for it.
I really want to haunt people.
Come talk
too.
to me on my spirit box.
There you go.
That's what I tell everybody.
Yeah. We'll have to come up with like a good word so you'll know. You'd be like, oh, that's that one girl.
Exactly. Document it. Write it down.
This is that librarian I had an interview with back in 2023.
If ruffians ever comes through, I'm gonna be
Yes.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's it.
like, yeah,
That's what it
that's
is.
the code word.
Yep.
That's
Ruffians.
the code word. Ruffians.
So have you ever been able to go anywhere exclusive for an investigation, like somewhere like really awesome, but you had like nobody else had been there before?
Yes,
Cool.
I've done quite a few locations, especially here in the North Central West Virginia area. One of the places that I'm most proud of, and this was like when we were finally like hitting our stride and stuff, I was able to investigate the Robinson Grand Theater in Clarksburg after it had gotten its $16 million remodel, and no one had ever been in there to investigate. And it really happened in a strange way. Like, I wanted to go in there. And so one day I was in Clarksburg, I parked my car, I was outside, and then the executive manager, he popped out, and he's like, hey, we're closed right now. He's like, here's a list of shows. And I was like, well, actually, I'm kind of here for a different reason. And so we started talking, and a few months later, boom, I was in the Robinson Grand Theater investigating. Bobby Rexroad, who was I believe he was one of the main people there. He had to stick with us for our tour, so he investigated with us, which we're fine with. It's totally cool because we want people to experience those things with us. He actually took us into the tunnel system underneath the theater that led out to the streets of Clarksburg. So it was a really crazy experience. One of my best captures, there was like 2 instances that like really stick with me. We were in the projector booth, and we were running a spirit box, and like clear as day, a male voice comes through and says projector. And then while we were on our way up to the projector booth, I had left a full spectrum camera running on the stage pointing out towards the seats. And it was a very strange anomaly. It came down the aisle, hopped on the stage, and then it like you could hear like a door moving like back by the stage. I was like, it's a really strange capture. But yeah, Robinson Grand Theater, one of the coolest places, and I think I am the only paranormal investigator to ever do it. So that was a really fun experience.
That's pretty wild. Is that on your YouTube channel, or?
That's on my personal channel. So at the time, when season 1 of Spirit Walk is on a different channel, and then I started the official Spirit Walk channel, and in between that era I posted a couple investigations over on my personal channel. So I'm trying to integrate all of them onto just the Spirit Walk channel. But it is a very fun episode to watch.
Definitely have to check that one out. So
for sure, man.
Do you do this? Okay, is this more of a hobby for you? I'm assuming you have a day job as well, or has it gotten successful enough that you could do just this exclusively?
It is, hopefully, in the oncoming years, I'll get to a point where I can do this full time. I do own a business. I run Dark Hills Media, which is a photography and video production company here in Morgantown, West Virginia. And that's what I do. I do, portrait photography, product photography. I make videos, advertisements for businesses and things like that. But it's a nice mixture between the two, because I get to go out and have fun, and I shoot weddings, and weddings are always fun and things like that. But those pay the bills, and then this is passion project that hopefully turns into the career.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the goal, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, it'd be way more fun.
Who wouldn't want to go out and ghost hunt on a weekly basis and get paid for it?
Exactly.
Fun fact, ghost hunting is expensive as heck.
Oh, I imagine the equipment and travel and stuff.
Well, these places that you go to, you have to rent them out for the night.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Old Hospital on College Hill, Greene County Historical Society, they're pretty fair in price. It's those bigger locations like Moundsville and Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. They're $1,100 to $1,500 for just a limited amount of time. I think you get maybe 12 hours, maybe. So it does get really, really expensive. And as the channel grows, we hope to hit those bigger locations. But we're really into supporting the like the newer paranormal spots. Can't wait to check out, Fairfield County Infirmary, Ohio State Reformatory, because they're in the more like affordable price range right now. Because you have to think, if you're already spending $500, $600, $700 on renting a location, plus you got to drive, get a hotel, food, snacks, all the jazz, and then you got to come back. And I spend about 70 to 80 hours editing an episode. It's very much a passion project, but we're hoping for that career.
It would be nice.
It'd be great.
Okay. I want to know what your scariest experience you've ever had.
Oh, man, that's a good one. Well, the Mount Morris house where Steve Hummel was attacked by that black mass literally made me jump. I don't have a lot of those jump scare moments of things happening. That was probably one of the scariest moments of my investigating career. I don't think during any other investigation that I've done have I jumped backwards so fast. So I'm just going to say, the Mount Morris Mystery House experience. It's a crazy series that we, what it became, because I was like, okay, one and done. We're going to go in here. We're going to find stuff. We're going to present the evidence to them. And then that's going to be it. And we have a 2-parter episode on our channel called Haunting of a College Apartment. And that was what I was thinking was going to happen with the Mount Morris Mystery House. Like, we're going to go in, we're just going to film for one night, then we're going to present the evidence to the people, and it was going to be done. And then the Mount Morris Mystery House series became what it became, and it was nuts. Yeah, whatever.
I had a feeling it was going to be that.
Yeah, whatever attacked Steve. Oh, there was this one night. Okay.
Yes.
We're going back to aliens.
Oh no!
We're going back to aliens.
I really was wondering.
Okay, so I did this residential house. The lady wanted to, keep it private, so we never put it up on our YouTube channel. But on our Patreon, I have like a reaction video because I got one blurry photo of this thing. I thought I was filming, but I was actually just taking a photo, and it was my fault because it all happened so fast. So this lady, she claimed that poltergeist activity was happening in her house, in her in-home CCTV footage. Her, I want to say, like 9-month, 1-year-old child was actually like ripped off of the couch by like an unseen force. And I was like, okay, this seems pretty legit. So we went down, we investigated, we found out, some things about maybe who or what was affecting their family home. And we did a cleansing and all that, and some very negative responses were like coming through the spirit box and everything. We wrapped up. We were like, hey, we'll go through the evidence, we'll check it out, and we'll present to you what we find and everything. Well, we're leaving the house. I just made a phone call, and I was like, all right, I'll be home soon, blah, blah, blah. So I get on to the 2-lane highway, and I look up, and I see 3 lights in the shape of a triangle. I was like, here we go again. And so my buddy Zach Richardson, he was with me at the time, and he was just like, dude, what is that? I was like, that's not a drone, man. And we were right near an airport, and so I was like, okay, well, maybe it's just a plane. I was like, maybe it's just a plane, man. We are near the airport. Maybe it's just like low flying. No, this thing was standing still. And the closer that we got to it, the bigger it got. And we pulled off into this like little construction business like driveway. And we looked up, and there it was, just like hovering. And I was like, this is exactly like 4 years ago. And I whipped my phone out. I took one picture because I thought I was so mad I didn't have my IR camera out because we'd packed all the gear away. I was like, oh, we're done ghoul hunting. Now I know to keep a camera in my car at all times. So I started chasing it. And obviously it, got way out from us. So there was no way we were going to catch up to it. But it did kind of like the exact same thing. the 3 lights were on, and then the back 2 went off, then the nose went off, and it started going north towards Morgantown. And it was just a very, very strange occurrence. And I've always felt that maybe poltergeist activity is connected to alien activity. Is your heart racing again?
I do not like this at all. I am never going to Morgantown.
Oh, it's a fun place.
No,
It is.
No, I don't care. I don't care. It's like I'm never going to Alaska because there's so many alien sightings up there.
Mhm.
Nope.
Well, that happened kind of closer to Clarksburg. So just north central West Virginia is just filled with weird stuff.
So you had to go up there, Ariel. Spend some time out at night.
No way.
Yeah.
Do you
See
want
some
me
triangles.
to die? Do you want me to die?
No.
Yeah. It's
Just
my
to
heart would
see an alien.
explode. My heart would explode.
Are there any like military bases up around there? I wonder if it could be some like weird
no.
experimental aircraft type deal.
Could be. I mean, there's just like Camp Dawson, but that's more of like a, yeah.
I mean, you got Wright Pat out in Ohio, but that's like kind of the wrong direction for where you're describing.
Yeah.
You have to go
So-
north instead of like west.
It's a very weird, I don't know, strange things have always happened around here, and maybe people aren't just noticing them. But, I mean, it's not like I'm out here seeing triangles all the time in the sky. Like, those happened those happened 4 years apart. Wasn't even like the same time of year or anything. It was just like at random. Like, I randomly got to see it, and it's been 5 years since I've seen a UFO, so it's...
I'd much prefer to see a UFO than a ghost, personally. That'd be dope. I want to see some UFOs. Although,
Hang out with Mama. She
I mean,
sees crap like that
she
all
does,
the time.
I know. That's the thing, though. If it is
Remember
UFO...
that time? Okay, when we were little once, my mom was like, guys, come outside. There's something in the sky. And Zach and my mom and my dad all ran outside to go look at this thing in the sky. I was like, y'all are stupid. I was like, you're going to get abducted. I'm staying in here with my tinfoil hat. No way.
So you didn't see it?
No.
I don't think I saw it either, though, to be fair.
Outside.
I might have seen what the thing was, but I don't know. But the thing is, if there are like UFOs here, then we're just like, and they wanted to do anything, we'd be boned.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe they're just playing poltergeist tricks.
Just for funsies. Just a bunch of
Just for
teenage
fun.
aliens
If I were an
coming
alien,
around.
I
I mean,
messing
I would
with
do that
people.
if I was an alien.
Yeah. So if you want to take a few minutes to talk about your YouTube channel, your Facebook page, any of that, go for it, and then we'll wrap it up.
Cool. Well, if you all want to check out my YouTube channel, it is Spirit Walk Paranormal. You can watch all of our episodes over on there. We're constantly filming and trying to put out as many as we can. If you want to join us over on Patreon, patreon.com/spiritwalkparanormal, your funding goes help towards getting new gear, all of the things that I talked about earlier about travel, paying the locations to help support them and keep them open. And you can follow us on pretty much all the socials. Instagram, don't really do Twitter, but Instagram's a big one. TikTok, you can follow us over on there. And you can also follow my personal page, just at Danny Strakel, DANNYSTRAKAL. If you want to check out my photography, and I do a lot of other cool things besides paranormal investigating, so you can hit me up on there.
All right. Okay, so our next episode is a general book chat. And then I think that'll be, what are we doing after that? Whose book is next?
Not a clue.
I thought
We'll
it was,
figure out.
I think it's my Illuminati thing, isn't it?
Yo, I saw a ghost in the background, Zach. I
It
saw
was a
ghost.
That's right, it is. Oh, that's exciting. Okay, cool.
Okay. Yeah, so next epised is Zach's
Illuminati.
Secret Society.
Me telling you guys about how the Illuminati doesn't exist.
Can't wait.
He's going to get murdered.
Yep. Can't wait to
Nice.
get
Nice.
murked.
He's going to get murdered. And you know what? It's okay, though, because he put me as his, person.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, if I die, you get my insurance money.
I get the money.
That'd be a big payout. It's like $800K. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Nobody who's listening to this murder me. She doesn't need the money yet.
Not yet.
If Zach suspiciously dies, it wasn't me.
It was not.
Uh-huh.
No. Okay. Thank you for joining another episode of Reading Room Ruffians. You can find our Facebook group by searching Reading Room Ruffians Podcast, which is linked to our library's Facebook page at facebook.com/Jackson County Library WV. We should also note that our Ravenswood branch recently launched a Facebook page, so all things Ravenswood can be found by searching by searching Ravenswood branch Jackson County Public Libraries. You should also definitely follow us on TikTok and Instagram at WVJCO Library and give our podcast Goodreads page a look-see, which we'll have linked in our episode description along with our personal Goodreads pages. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. And also, you better remember that only the best libraries have librarians who won't shush you. If you forget, you've got to throw salt over your right shoulder 7 times. Not in the library, though. I don't make the rules.